On the night of Tuesday, June 20th, 2012, Ashley Biggs set out for her final pizza delivery of the evening at around 11:45 p.m. What no one realized was that this would be Ashley's last delivery ever. By the following day, her car and lifeless body were discovered in a neighboring county. Investigators quickly identified her killer, but over the years, suspicions mounted. They began to believe Ashley's murderer hadn't acted alone. A jailhouse confession and a long-hidden secret recording would eventually bring a second suspect to justice, giving Ashley's family the answers they sought. Who had crossed paths with Ashley? What drove her killers to commit such a brutal act? With a population of just under 14,000, New Franklin is a small town located in Ohio. It's known for Edgewater State Park and the historic Tudor House. The town boasts stunning views, offering its residents a peaceful, rural experience paired with a relatively affordable cost of living. The people of New Franklin are famous for their friendliness, which gives the town its unique charm. It's also recognized as being 61% safer than other U.S. cities, frequently ranking among the top 100 safest cities in the country. That's why the tragic death of Ashley Biggs shook the community so deeply. Ashley Biggs was born on January 9, 1987, in New Franklin, Ohio. She was an only child, raised by her mother, Kimberly Biggs, and her stepfather. Those who knew Ashley described her as a kind, gentle soul, always smiling and full of joy. She was surrounded by a loving family, and at the age of 17, she met Chad Cobb, a 25-year-old man, during a double date at a local skating rink. They fell in love and began a serious relationship, eventually moving in together. A year later, they welcomed a daughter. However, the relationship between Ashley and Chad began to deteriorate. Friends claimed that Chad was abusive, often hitting her. Shortly after their breakup in 2008, Ashley enlisted in the U.S. Army, giving Chad full custody of their daughter. Unfortunately, Ashley was medically discharged due to her severe asthma and returned home to work as a pizza delivery driver for Domino's in Akron, Ohio. She had also started a new relationship with a woman named Brittany Dunson, and they planned to raise her daughter together. After a lengthy legal battle, Ashley was awarded full custody of her daughter, which angered Chad. He began threatening Ashley and Brittany, leading Ashley to obtain a restraining order against him. On the night of June 20th, 2012, around 11:42 p.m., a late pizza order came into the Domino's branch in Akron. The caller, identifying herself as Jenny, ordered a half pepperoni, half mushroom pizza. Ashley, working that night, decided to make the delivery. The address was located in a commercial area of New Franklin, and she was instructed to deliver the pizza at the back of the building. Ashley left just before midnight, and the staff expected her back within minutes, as the delivery was nearby and the streets were quiet. However, over an hour passed with no sign of her return. Concerned, her manager called Brittany, who hadn't heard from Ashley either. The manager then contacted the New Franklin police to report Ashley missing. Officers arrived at Domino's around 1 a.m. to gather information. Just as they were speaking with the staff, Brittany arrived, visibly worried. She informed the officers about Ashley's troubled past with her ex, Chad. Police assured her that they would search for Ashley and headed to the delivery address on a dark and secluded area. The business there was clearly closed, but in the parking lot they discovered a large pool of blood and scattered coins. It was no longer just a missing person case. Investigators believed that Ashley had been lured to the parking lot and ambushed, possibly by someone familiar with her schedule. They immediately began questioning Brittany, who revealed the intense custody battle between Ashley and Chad and the restraining order Ashley had recently filed. Brittany was certain that Chad needed to be questioned. Police checked their records and discovered Chad's history of violence against Ashley, including an assault charge from 7 years earlier. Early in the morning on June 21st, investigators arrived at Chad's house but received no response. However, a background check revealed that he owned a black SUV, registered to an address about half a mile from the delivery site. Officers went to the new address, which belonged to Chad's grandparents. There, they found a black vehicle parked behind the property. When they approached the vehicle, they found a woman and 4 children inside. It was Chad's new wife, Erica. She was taken into custody, and the children were handed over to family members. As officers searched the property, they heard noises coming from a wooded area behind the barn. A search team ventured into the darkness and soon found Chad hiding in the woods, wearing camouflage. His clothes were stained with blood. Chad and Erica both refused to cooperate, but police were now certain something horrific had occurred. A search of the surrounding woods turned up a backpack containing a large knife, a neoprene mask, gloves, a taser, duct tape, and industrial zip ties, all near the area where Chad had been hiding. Blood traces were found on several of the items, deepening the suspicion of a brutal attack. It seemed like a dead end for the investigators, but they were on the verge of a breakthrough. After this discovery, they used helicopters and dive teams to search for any trace of Ashley or her vehicle. Despite their efforts, it seemed they had hit a roadblock until they received a call from a woman in a neighboring county. The anonymous caller mentioned that her house, situated on a hill, overlooked a cornfield. She had woken up and noticed something shiny near the edge of the field. Fearing that something suspicious was happening, she contacted the police. When investigators arrived at the scene, they found an SUV. It matched the description of Ashley Biggs' vehicle. As they inspected the interior, they discovered the body of a woman lying in the back seat. The scene was horrific. The victim had been bound at the wrists and ankles with industrial zip ties, and another zip tie was fastened around her neck. Her face had turned purple from lack of oxygen, and several taser wires were still embedded in her skin. She appeared to have been severely beaten as well. The woman was still wearing a pizza delivery uniform. Inside the car, there was an insulated pizza delivery bag and the untouched pizza from Ashley's last order. Investigators also found stickers from the deliveries made that night attached to the steering wheel. The body was removed and taken to the county coroner's office for proper identification. Investigators called Ashley's mother and asked if her daughter had any identifying tattoos. Kimberly confirmed that Ashley had 2 stars on the back of each arm and a tattoo on her navel. It was enough to verify that the body was indeed Ashley Biggs. Chad was arrested under suspicion of murder and refused to cooperate with investigators. He was taken into custody at the county jail. Erica, Chad's new wife, was allowed to return home as there was no direct evidence linking her to Ashley's death at the time. On June 22, 2012, the chief medical examiner performed Ashley's autopsy. She determined that the cause of death was asphyxiation from the zip tie around her neck. The victim also showed signs of blunt force trauma to the scalp, face, and body, along with defensive wounds on her wrists and hands. Blood samples from Ashley were compared to the stains found on Chad's clothing and tools. It was a match. Following Chad's arrest, Ashley's family and friends opened up to investigators about the years of abuse she had endured. Brittany, Ashley's partner, revealed that Chad had started stalking and harassing both women after Ashley was awarded full custody of their daughter. He had threatened them with violence, enraged by the loss of custody and Ashley's new life. On June 24, 2012, Chad was formally charged and arrested for murder. His bail was set at $1.5 million. During his hearing, Chad was informed that he would face the death penalty. However, he later accepted a plea deal on multiple charges, including aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping. On February 26, 2013, Chad pled guilty to all charges and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Although the case seemed closed, one detail lingered in investigators' minds. A woman had placed the pizza order. They suspected Chad needed help transporting the vehicle to the cornfield, and their suspicions pointed toward Erica. However, there was no concrete evidence linking her to the crime at that time. During the initial investigation, officers had made an interesting discovery. They found a receipt from a local store for the purchase of a prepaid phone on June 20, 2012. Surveillance footage showed Chad, Erica, and their children leaving the store. Still, this wasn't enough to prove Erica's involvement in the murder. Erica moved on with her life after Chad's arrest. She filed for divorce and began a relationship with Chad's childhood friend, Christopher Michael Stefanko. Erica and Mike married and had a baby shortly after Chad's sentencing. However, Chad wasn't pleased with the changes around him, particularly Erica's new life. Though Erica initially brought the children to visit Chad in prison, those visits dwindled as her new marriage progressed, and eventually they stopped altogether. Around this time, Ashley's daughter began writing letters to her father in prison. In her letters, she described the emotional, physical, and mental abuse she was enduring at the hands of Erica. She spoke of how unhappy she was living with her stepmother and the new family. Chad, growing more frustrated, finally decided to tell the truth after 4 years in prison. In an unexpected move, he wrote a letter to the police. In it, he confessed that it was Erica who made the pizza order under the alias Jenny, and revealed that Erica had masterminded the plot. He also told the police that his mother had evidence that could help the case. This was the break the detectives had been waiting for. They contacted Chad's mother, who agreed to meet with them on January 2, 2018, nearly 6 years after Ashley's murder. She handed over a recording of a conversation she had with Erica 2 years after the murder, in March 2014. In the recording, Erica openly discussed the killing and admitted that she was not forced by Chad to lure Ashley with the fake pizza order. When asked why she recorded the conversation, she said it was as insurance for her son, Chad. The investigators realized that Erica had not only made an enemy out of Chad but also his mother, as Erica had started keeping Chad's children away from their grandmother, which had created tension between them. Piecing everything together, investigators concluded the following events led to Ashley Biggs's murder. After losing custody of his daughter, Chad became increasingly resentful of Ashley and her new lifestyle. He and Erica conspired to lure Ashley into a trap to silence her. Erica made the call to Domino's on that fateful night, knowing Ashley was on delivery duty. She provided an address in a quiet part of town with little traffic at that hour. Erica then drove herself, the children, and Chad to the location to wait for Ashley. As Ashley arrived at the back of the building where she was instructed to meet the caller, Chad ambushed her with a taser, leaving her defenseless. He tied her hands and feet before viciously beating her into unconsciousness. After the brutal assault, he strangled her with a zip tie. Chad then dragged Ashley back to her car and had Erica and the children follow him to the cornfield where they abandoned her vehicle. Erica later drove Chad back to his grandparents' house, where police would eventually find him. Now armed with Chad's confession, investigators prepared to build a case against Erica. However, it would prove difficult because the man accusing her was her resentful ex-husband, who had already taken the blame for the murder. Yet, in the recording, Erica admitted to being involved in the killing and even assisting in it. On November 11, 2019, Erica was arrested and charged with aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping. The prosecution faced an uphill battle as they worked to build a strong case against her. They focused on complicity law, arguing that without Erica's help, Chad wouldn't have been able to carry out the murder. This legal strategy ensured that both Erica and Chad would be held accountable for Ashley's murder, regardless of their respective roles. The prosecution also relied on character witness testimonies from individuals who knew about the conflict between Ashley, Chad, and Erica. A year after Erica's arrest, she was put on trial for her involvement in Ashley Biggs' murder. During opening statements, the prosecution argued that Erica was a key player in the crime and that, without her, it wouldn't have happened. They reminded the jury that under the law, anyone who aids, abets, encourages, or associates with another in committing a crime is just as guilty as the principal offender. In contrast, the defense focused on Chad, claiming that he was using this as a way to reduce his own sentence and secure an early release date. They painted him as someone who, after 8 years, suddenly decided to implicate Erica for his own benefit. Chad testified remotely about Erica's role in the murder, claiming for the first time that Erica was the one who strangled Ashley. His daughter was also called to the stand, testifying about her relationship with Erica and the abuse she endured. She recounted both good and bad memories with Erica, describing psychological and physical mistreatment, including an incident where Erica forced her to eat dog food. After hearing all the testimony and closing arguments, the jury deliberated for 3 days. On November 25, 2020, they returned to court and found Erica guilty of aggravated murder, though she was acquitted of the aggravated robbery and kidnapping charges. In July 2021, Erica was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. After her sentencing, Erica addressed Ashley's familia, saying she would gladly accept any blame if it brought them peace. In July 2022, Erica's conviction was overturned after the Court of Appeals ruled that her rights had been violated due to Chad's remote testimony, which was conducted because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Chad had testified from a separate courtroom, which the court deemed a violation of Erica's constitutional right to a fair trial. A new trial date has yet to be set. In December 2022, Erica requested a reduction in her bail while awaiting a new trial. Prosecutors argued that Erica posed a significant flight risk, given her previous conviction for aggravated murder. The judge upheld Erica's original $2 million bail, and she remains in jail awaiting her new trial. Chad and Erica's children are left grappling with the cruelty of their parents' actions, knowing that their decisions destroyed countless lives around them. They, like their half-sister, now grow up without the guidance of either parent. Thanks for tuning in to Unreal True Crime. If you're intrigued by mysteries from around the world, check out our new channel, Latin Crimes, where we dive into the gripping true crime stories of Latin America. Don't miss out. Subscribe now for more thrilling investigations.